just work at Music and Arts, and you know, nothing's worse than a customer coming in with a pop string and you look around and you're the one that has to change it. Or the other half of us are the people with pop strings. So today I am going to try and make that feeling of, oh, I hope this doesn't ever happen to me, go away. So I've been working at Music and Arts for almost 3 years, and I've seen my fair share of pop strings. And I've also watched countless string changes as well as done countless string changes. So I'm going to go over if you have the proper tools, if you have the proper technique, and you have the correct tuning, how easy it can be. So first thing we're going to go over is what you need. You have some optional and then non-optional stuff. Here at Music and Arts we use the neck rest and the pad only because we are working on glass. You don't want to scratch up the glass, you don't want to scratch up the guitar. Those are not they're not pertinent to change the guitar string. You don't need them necessarily at home. The second thing that I have is I have a string winder. I say it's not optional. It is optional because you can't just do it with your hands. However, I'm not going to spend an hour stringing a guitar. The other things that are not optional is you definitely need a string. That is not an option. You need that. And I don't really think a tuner is optional. Unless you can tune by ear or unless you have a piano to help you tune it, you do need a tuner to help you make sure that you have the correct tuning. So now that we have everything we need, let's go ahead and get started. First thing you need to do is you're going to obviously remove the old string. I've already done that before the presentation. You just take it out. Usually it's popped, so you just take it out. But please don't try and restring over the old string. The next thing you're going to do is take your string. Make sure you have the correct string, so don't put the wrong string in the wrong place. So we're going to be restringing the high E. All right. So you take the peg. There is a section on the peg that has a groove in it. That's the side that you're going to face towards the headstock of the guitar. You're going to place the string in the hole, and you're going to take the opening groove and kind of place it down so the string comes through that groove. You're going to pull tight and push tight, because later if you don't do that, it can kind of affect your tuning. Because as you're tuning, it'll slip and continue to slip up if you don't hold it tight. All right, the next step, you're actually going to cut the string. So on my particular peg winder, I have snipes at the end of it. If you don't have that, all you have to do is get regular scissors. It doesn't matter either way. You don't need all this string. This is too much string to wind and to change. So what I typically do is I measure it from the top of the headstock. You want at least enough string to have 2 or 3 wraps around the peg. So you take it and you cut it. All right. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to face the peg, the tuning peg, towards you. You don't really have to do that. It's just easier when you're tuning. And you take your string and you put it about 1 centimeter to 2 centimeters in, and you just bend it. At that point, you're actually ready for the actual string winding. All right. So now that we have that, we're going to now wind. Now, you want to make sure your placement of your hands are kind of in the right place, because if not, you can't really wind this without controlling the string a little bit. So what you're going to do is there's many ways to do it. The way that I do it is I kind of place my finger right here at the groove, not really, really tight, but very firm, so it'll kind of come through my fingers. I place this end on the peg, and you tune it, or you wind it counterclockwise. All right, so you're going to go counterclockwise, and you do it. You can wind very quickly. You don't have to wind slowly, but you want to make sure that you're being very tedious and you're watching the line, because you want your strings to go right. You want it to wind right underneath each other. You don't want it to overlap, because later on when you're tuning, if it overlaps, what it does is it causes the strings to slip, and then you can't tune it properly, and it becomes a pain in the butt. So you want to continue. You just sit there and wind it. And you can go as fast as you want with this guy, or as slow as you want. And as you see that, as you feel it getting tighter and tighter in your hand, you do want to slow down, because you don't want to pop the string again. Because the high E string is the most popped string out of all the other strings. As you feel it getting a little tighter and tighter, go a little bit slower. Alright, so now that the string is on, I usually cut off the excess. Some people like to leave it on. I don't, because the strings can cut you and you will bleed and it's uncomfortable. And if they're rusted, you have to get a tetanus shot. Now, so now that the string is on, now we're going to tune it. To be able to tune it, I use a tuner. You can have one that lays flat, or you can have one that you clip on. You need to know the correct tuning. The way that we do it here is you go from the smallest string to the thickest string, and it's the Easter bunny gets dressed at Easter. You can, some people say trunk, but when you have minors, you say dressed because it's nicer to say. So you're going to tune the high E string. You want to make sure that you're very careful because the high E string is the easiest to actually break. And if it's not high enough, you turn it counterclockwise. If it's too high, you turn it clockwise. And you wait until it gets to the green. And now you have a perfectly tuned string. All right, so to finish up, let's review. Remember, you can successfully change a guitar string with the correct tools, techniques, and tuning. And the next time your string pops or someone walks in the store, you don't have to feel like you can't do it. Thank you all for coming.
Good job.